beyond the known. The stars had always guided us, silent sentinels lighting our journey across the black. But now, as the last pinprick of the Milky Way shrank behind them, the crew of the Aetheris drifted into a realm where even starlight refused to follow. Captain Alara Dorn stood at the command deck, eyes fixed on the forward display. It showed nothing but an endless expanse of black. Not the usual space black sprinkled with distant galaxies, but something deeper, emptier. It felt like staring into the absence of existence itself. "This is it," Alara said quietly. "The intergalactic void." Around her, the bridge crew fell silent. Even the hum of consoles seemed to quiet, as if the ship itself was holding its breath. They had launched from Centauri Station 4 months ago, humanity's most advanced long-range science vessel. Powered by the revolutionary Alcubierre X drive, the Aetheris was the first manned ship capable of sustaining faster-than-light travel across the emptiness between galaxies. Their mission wasn't conquest or colonization. It was curiosity. They were here to find out what, if anything, waited in the abyss between the stars. And so far, the void answered only with silence. "We've lost galactic anchor points," Ensign Violin reported. "No stellar reference. Navigation is now inertial and relativistic only." Alara nodded. They had expected this. There were no stars here, no planets, no gas clouds, just vacuum, perfect unyielding. She tapped the console on her chair. "Activate long-range quantum scanners. Begin deep field sweeps." The ship obeyed, its sensors reaching into the black. But without known gravitational points, even their best AI struggled. Star maps were useless. Predictive algorithms failed. Light, magnetism, even radiation, everything here was still. "It's like falling into a sensory deprivation tank," said Dr. Rami Malek, chief xenophysicist. He stared into the void as if trying to will it to speak. "A cosmic dead zone." "No," Alara said softly. "Not dead. Waiting." The word surprised her, but she didn't retract them. Humanity had once feared the darkness of oceans, then the silence of space. Now they stood on the edge of a greater unknown. And still they stepped forward. As the hours passed, the crew settled into their routines, scanning, logging, experimenting. But the tension in the air remained. Not fear, something more primal. Reverence. Later that night, Alara recorded her log. Day 117. "We have crossed the galactic boundary. There are no stars here, no signs of matter, no energy fluctuations. But I can't shake the feeling we are not alone. It's not presence I feel, but attention. Observation. I wonder, do humans disturb even the silence of eternity?" She paused, then added, "We left behind a galaxy full of wonder because wonder still burned in us. That's why we're here. Not because we had to be, but because we chose to be." Outside the hull of the Aetheris, the void stared back. The nothing that watches. There was no warning. One moment, the Aetheris was coasting silently through the void. The next, every screen on the bridge flickered, systems dimming as if something unseen had passed through the ship. "Power dip across primary systems," Lieutenant Arden barked. "Just a momentary drain. Restoring now." Captain Alara Dorn snapped her gaze to the readouts. "Any sign of impact or radiation?" "Negative," Arden replied. "But something distorted our quantum field for 0.87 seconds. Could it be an interstellar object?" Dr. Rami Malek asked, already pulling up sensor logs. "No matter, no mass, no energy signature." Arden shook his head, visibly unnerved. Nothing was there, but something had been. They all felt it. It wasn't just the flicker in the lights. It was the sudden sense of being seen. The crew didn't speak of it aloud, not at first. They kept scanning, kept logging, kept pretending this was a scientific expedition and not a descent into a place the universe itself had forgotten. But the feeling grew. That night, Ensign Violin was found trembling in the observation deck, eyes wide and unfocused. "I saw something out there," he whispered over and over. The dark blinked. Medical ruled it as a stress-induced hallucination, common in sensory-deprived environments. Still, Alara ordered the crew to rotate schedules, reduce exposure time at external viewports, and increase interaction. Isolation breeds madness, especially in places where the universe feels thin. But what truly disturbed her were the scans. Deep-field quantum echoes, barely perceptible fluctuations, kept appearing. Reflections where there should be nothing to reflect. When plotted, they formed no clear pattern, except that the ethers seemed always at the center. "We're getting ghost signals," Rami said. "Repeats of our own emissions, delayed, distorted, but not from a consistent source. It's like the void is bouncing them back at us," Elara finished. "Or something in the void is." Despite the fear building among the crew, curiosity kept them moving forward. Humanity had braved worse. Oceans, deserts, vacuum war. The unknown had always been the forge of its spirit. 3 days later, the sensors pinged something impossible. "Captain, we've got a structure," Arden said, voice tight. "Dead ahead, 30 light minutes. It's artificial. Metallic alloy composition. No known signature." Alara's blood ran cold, then hot. "Prepare a slow approach. Full spectrum analysis. Launch drones. And get Rami to the bridge." She stared at the data streaming in. The object wasn't large, maybe a kilometer across, but it was symmetrical, constructed. Not driftwood from some forgotten star, but a relic built with purpose. In the middle of nowhere, beyond the last gravitational tug of the Milky Way, something had built this. She leaned back in her chair, heart pounding, eyes unblinking. They had come seeking the unknown, and now the unknown was staring back. First contact with the forgotten. The structure loomed ahead, an obsidian black monolith drifting in the endless void, untouched by time or motion. No thrusters, no lights, no markings. Just smooth surfaces and sharp edges that geometry had no right to form. Elara stood in the airlock, suit sealed, pulse hammering in her ears. Vitals stable. Arden's voice crackled through her comm. Tether integrity confirmed. Drone lights active. You're good to proceed. She took a breath and stepped forward. Her boots found contact with the monolith's surface, solid, cold, and utterly still. No electromagnetic fields. No radiation. No signs of power. Yet the moment she touched it, her vision swam. Not a hallucination, she realized. Not fear. A transmission. A low vibration passed through her fingers. Then a presence. Wordless, ancient, vast. It wasn't speaking in language. It was remembering at her. Inside the monolith, a hollow chamber opened, impossibly large compared to its exterior. Rami joined her minutes later, staring in awe at the etched walls. Symbols pulsed faintly, not carved but woven into the material like living veins of thought. "This place isn't dead," he whispered. "It's dreaming." As they explored, flashes of imagery entered their minds. Civilizations rising in distant galaxies, constructing machines to survive entropy itself. The beings had no bodies, only minds woven into fields of quantum consciousness, hoping to wait out the heat death of the universe. But they failed, Elara murmured. They hadn't transcended. They had stagnated, their minds unmoored from time, slowly fracturing in the silence. Now they were only echoes, fragments of cells scattered across the void. And those echoes had noticed the ethers. Suddenly, the chamber darkened. A single point of light flared before Elara, a pulsing sphere of bluish flame, suspended midair. "You burn," came a thought not her own. Elara stumbled. "Who are you?" "We were memory. Now we are silence. You are different, small but bright. Why have you come to the dark between?" Elara stood tall, fear forgotten. Because it was there. Because no one else would. A long pause. "We watch stars die and minds fade. You are the first to enter by choice. That is new." Another flash, a gift. Raw data, knowledge not meant for biological minds. She felt her thoughts stretch, her perception widen. "Captain," Arden shouted in her ear, "we're detecting massive energy buildup in the monolith. You need to pull back now." Elara looked at the light. "Will it destroy us?" "No, but if you stay, you will remain." She understood. Absorption. Emerging. The echoes were curious, but too hungry to release what fed their fading minds. She turned away. As the tether pulled her back to the Aetheris, the light pulsed once more. You're not like the others. You do not run from the dark. You carry your fire into it. Back aboard, Alara collapsed to her knees. Rami knelt beside her, shaken but alive. Captain, he whispered, we just spoke to something older than time. She nodded slowly, and spoke back. Light in the void. The Aetheris drifted silently, its crew shaken, yet changed. They had not found emptiness in the space between galaxies. They had found watchers, echoes, remnants of something far older than stars. Captain Alara Dorn sat in her quarters, staring at the datapad in her hand. The gift, the data the Echo had shared, still pulsed with strange energy. Equations danced across the screen, incomprehensible to standard AI, yet intuitively familiar to her now, as if her mind had been rewritten by that contact. She hadn't spoken to anyone since returning to the ship, but she knew what needed to happen. She activated the comm bridge, prepare emergency protocol, Kappa 7. This is a solo directive. Repeat, solo. Arden's voice came back, tense. Captain, you can't mean to... I do. Set course for return to Centauri Station. Full data, encryption. You'll brief the council. I'm staying. A pause. Then quietly. Understood. Hours later, the airlock hissed open one final time. Alara stepped out, her suit sealed, her tether severed. Before her, the monolith waited, no longer alien, no longer silent. As she touched it, warmth spread through her fingertips. You return. I do. Why? Because I understand now. You failed trying out last time. But humanity, we don't outlast. We move forward. Always. And what will you do? She smiled sadly. I'll carry the fire. The chamber opened once more, and she stepped inside. The light engulfed her, but this time, she didn't resist. She let the echoes in, let her thoughts expand, let her memories pour out into the void. On the Aetheris, the crew watched from safe distance. A final signal burst from the monolith, encrypted and wrapped in alien harmonics. Then the structure went dark. Rami stood at the console, jaw tight. She's gone. No, Arden said. She became something else. They played the message. To those who find this, we are not alone in the void. It watches. It remembers. And now it learns again. Humanity stepped into darkness not to conquer it, but to understand it. In doing so, we brought light. Keep going. Don't stop. Never fear the silence. Answer it. When the Aetheris returned home, it brought back more than knowledge. It brought revolution. The data Alara had received included principles of energy manipulation that defied known physics, methods to harness the void itself, new modes of communication, propulsion, even the potential for matter replication at cosmic scales. Earth didn't just survive. It transformed. Within a generation, new ships were launched, not just toward galaxies, but between them. Humanity had found its next frontier, the infinite silence between stars, now filled with possibility. And far beyond, in the dark that once watched, a new echo stirred. It burned brighter than all the others. It remembered a name. Alara. Final note, narrative theme. In the space between galaxies, where all others saw death and silence, humanity found meaning, and left behind a voice that would guide the universe's forgotten into something new.